Claude Code is the current hot topic in AI development. And if you're like me, you've probably been a bit overwhelmed with what it's actually best used for. But luckily, today I'm breaking down exactly how you can use Claude Code for AI voice agent development. And once you get the hang of it, you'll see that this is a really powerful tool when it comes to creating AI voice agents and creating automations connected into your AI voice agents instantly. I'm not just going to go through the hype like everybody else, but I'm also going to cover the side effects when using a tool like Claude Code in development and what you need to do to ensure what you're building actually works. Now, if you're completely brand new to Claude Code, I'll give you a quick rundown on exactly what it is and how it sort of fits into our development workflow. So first off, this right here is the Claude desktop app. I downloaded this onto my computer. You don't have to do this. You can actually do this through the browser. I just find it better to use the downloadable desktop version. And so right away, if you have used Anthropic's Claude model before, it's just an AI model very, very similar to ChatGPT that I can go ahead and just type to, and I could say hello, and I'm going to be able to talk to it as you would like a regular AI model. So that is the regular chat function when it comes to Claude, but we obviously have access to, in the top left right here, this little toggle that says code. And so this swaps into this brand new interface, which is a dedicated interface for Claude Code. And so what this is it's an instance of Claude that is more dedicated to helping you run code and run API requests and just do anything in terms of developing applications, running code, of course, developing that code. Pretty much that all happens through Claude Code. And so if you do have the desktop version of Claude downloaded, this is going to do everything from your computer itself. You'll see right here that there's a toggle that says local. So that means all of the files, the code files, everything that needs to be running, it's actually going to be running it from my computer and using my computer as the server. And one of the big benefits of being able to do this is that our Claude Code instance is going to be able to run API requests in the chat itself. And so very high level, this just means that we're able to tell Claude to run API requests for us, to find particular API endpoints and tell it to run those for us. And so this is sort of a new unlock in terms of development autonomy. I can go ahead and tell Claude Code right here to look up the AI voice agent API documentation for Retell AI, for example. It's going to be able to look through the documentation by searching it up on the website, bring back that documentation to start using it, ask me to provide my API keys. Then it's going to be able to start to push data into Retell itself. And that's how we're going to be able to create our voice agent. And the same goes for N8N as well. We're going to be able to tell it to use our N8N account with my API key. And it's going to go ahead and just find all of the necessary endpoints by looking them up on the internet. And so to prove the point even further, this right here is Retell AI. If you're not familiar with this voice agent development platform, I've got plenty of other videos covering exactly how to build voice agents on Retell. But essentially, I gave Claude Code access to my Retell account, and it went ahead and created a brand new agent on my account. It did all of the prompt engineering, as you can see right here. This is all created by Claude Code. It even went ahead and created functions created by Claude Code. It went ahead and added in webhook settings and modified all of these settings to the specific criteria that I gave it and built this voice agent for me. And not only did it create that voice agent, but I also told it to create a workflow automation to plug into that voice agent on N8N. So it went ahead and built out this entire workflow, and it even connected that workflow to the Retell agent here through a webhook that is directly the webhook that is on the N8N automation. So this is pretty insane just by prompting exactly what I'm looking for. So not only is it able to build these N8N workflows, but it's able to have the context of also building out a voice agent on Retell and also be able to connect the two together so that they can work with each other. And so you might be familiar with N8N's AI agent workflow builder right here, where you're able to prompt the workflow that you're looking for into existence. And so this is a great native tool that's integrated on N8N that's easy to use, although it has no context as to our Retell agent right here. It isn't going to be able to populate webhook settings on Retell, obviously. And so to really drive it home as to the value here with Claude Code is our sort of general agent that has access to many different tools so that we can build a much broader solution rather than just an individual platform. So without further ado, hopefully you now get the point as to the power here and exactly what we're going to be able to build using Claude Code. So getting started, make sure you have downloaded Claude as the desktop app onto your computer. And you will also have to upgrade to their, I think, $20 a month pro subscription. Once you've done that, once again, make sure that you're on this interface for Claude Code, and then we have to assign a folder to this. So this is pretty much where it's going to store all of its thinking and the code files used to run any API requests and run our entire system that we're building. It's just going to store that in a folder locally on our computer so we can have it for ourselves. Just to reiterate, you don't have to touch this code at all. This is a completely no-code workflow. We're just telling it to use code to build it, but we don't have to modify any of that code if we don't want to. So making sure to create a brand new folder for the agent that you're going to be using here. I just created a folder called YouTube Demo Agent, and I've assigned that right to this instance of Claude Code. And now literally all that we have to do is just prompt what we're looking for. I can tell it to build an end-to-end workflow. I can tell it to build a Retell voice agent. It is going to go ahead and just figure out everything that it needs in order to do that for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and just say, please create AI voice agent. This should be a receptionist for a law firm. This agent should be capable of answering questions and qualifying leads. You will need to use the Retell API to add the agent to my account. It's going to figure out everything for us. We're not going to tell it what API documentation to use. It's actually going to use the internet to find it and just use it, which is amazing. And it does a pretty damn good job of it. So I'll start off with this. I'm not going to overwhelm it by telling it to create some end-to-end workflow right now. I'll get to that later and we'll just build on top of it. So just make sure to send that off to Claude, and you'll see here that it's now going to move into the chat interface, and it's going to start to think about the request that I gave it. And hopefully it's going to go ahead and do it for us. Now do note that you're probably going to get a lot of sort of questions from Claude coming to you that you'll have to confirm, because this is running locally on your computer. It does have to get some permissions and access to do certain things on your computer to be able to do exactly what it needs to. So for example, right here, you can see that it's asking for my permission to do this particular task right here. It wants to write some information to the folder that we gave it, which is completely fine. I'm going to say I'm going to allow it for this session, and you're going to have to do that a little bit. But otherwise, if it ever does run into an issue, it's literally going to figure it out itself. So just tell it, sorry, that there's an issue, or it will probably figure out the issue itself because it'll get some sort of an error code, and it's just going to fix it itself. And so I know it can be a little bit overwhelming. Seeing all this code pop up and all this information can be a little bit overwhelming to look at. But once again, don't worry. You can close your eyes if you need to. This is just what's being built on the back end. We just need to worry about our communication with Claude Code right here. Just tell it exactly what you're looking for, and eventually it's going to get there. Okay, it's completed its first initial runs. You can see here, it's giving me back some information about what it's about to do, which is perfect. And I'm happy for it to do this. You'll see all the way at the bottom here, though, it says, do you have your Retell API key ready? I can help you run the script with this. So it just needs our API key. I'm now going to give it the API key, and it's going to use that to be able to actually put the agent directly on my Retell AI account. To get that API key here on Retell, obviously you need a Retell account in the first place if you haven't got one already. But otherwise, at the bottom left here, you'll see this settings tab, and in settings, you can click on API keys. And then you'll see right here, there's a secret key, which you can then go ahead and copy. Otherwise, you can create a new key specifically for Claude Code if you really wish. Missed calls means missed revenue. If you are losing leads because your team can't answer the phone 24/7, I've got something for you. My team at Inflate AI builds inbound and outbound calling systems to automate voice conversations across your business. We're talking 24/7 receptionists, speed to lead outbound callers, appointment booking, whatever your business needs. And if you want to see it in action, we've built a demo voice agent on our website that you can test right now. So call it, ask it questions, and just experience how natural these conversations actually are. Once you see what's possible, book an introductory call with us by using the link in the description. All right, so it took a couple minutes here, and the Retell agent, or at least it says the Retell agent is now completed here on Claude Code. It says your law firm receptionist AI voice agent has been successfully created. It's got some of the details right here as to the agent ID. It's got some details as to exactly what it did as well on the voice agent. And so now what I can do is jump over to Retell and see that right here, law firm receptionist has now popped up. So I didn't create this agent at all, just through the APIs that Claude Code was able to find on the internet. And just by giving it my API key, it was literally able to figure everything else that it needed to and build this agent. So this is brand new to me. I'm looking at the prompt that it's just created right here, and I can have a scroll through and just see exactly what it created. And this is pretty epic. So it's not even a bad prompt either. It's got great sections. It's using Markdown formatting to create the prompt. And Claude Code has done a pretty good job here. But with the power of Claude Code, it's actually able to modify really a lot more than just the prompt. And so if I look through the functions, at least in this agent, doesn't look like I actually created any functions. The previous one I did happen to create some functions. So I could probably jump into Claude Code here and tell it to create some functions for me, create some mock functions for me. And I bet it would be able to do it. Same goes for post-call data extraction. It doesn't look like it's created any additional values here either, but I bet I could tell it to do so and it would go ahead and do it for us. So I might jump into Claude Code and tell it that I would like a particular post-call data value or variable for the type of for the type of law that this individual was inquiring about. So was it personal injury, family law, estate planning, or business law? The ones that this is outlined. I want to ask it, or at least capture, what that individual might have been inquiring about. So I've just jumped into Claude Code and I said, please add a post-call data value capturing which type of the law the caller was inquiring about. Also create some mock functions for sending SMS and emails. So this, I'm just going to literally send that off to Claude Code, and hopefully this is going to be able to understand what I'm talking about here, look back at the Retell documentation to be able to update this exact agent that it's looking at right now, and do everything that I just told it to. And so this is one of the big parts of Claude Code. It's not just writing a prompt, it has full understanding as to what we're building here, and we're going to be able to talk back and forth with it to make updates and changes. I've just zoomed in because it was a bit hard to see, so I apologize for that, but I'm going to let this go ahead and do what it needs to. It should hopefully go ahead and modify our Retell agent. And then we're going to jump into building out an end-to-end workflow that is directly connected to our Retell agent as well. So we have the full suite of voice agent plus automation system that we can potentially deploy live. But I do want to preface that I will also talk a little bit more about if you can actually put one of these systems into production, if this is the proper way you should even be building these systems in the first place, because there are some things that I would want to talk about and things and processes that you would want to go through to ensure that this system is actually production ready. All right, so that should now be completed. It says that this has all been done for us. So what I can go ahead and do is jump into refresh the page and see if anything's different here with our agent. So give that a spin. So it doesn't look like our functions actually got changed or made, which is a bit weird. Obviously, it's not going to work 100% of the time. I'm probably going to have to come back to Claude Code right here and just tell it that I don't see any functions here. And then it probably has to come back and add it again. So mock SMS notifications, yeah, it doesn't look like it did any of these. I'll have to double check that, but it doesn't look like that worked. So not going to work every time, but we can just send it a message and tell it that it didn't work. But if I come down to the post-call data extraction right here, you're going to see it created quite a few post-call data extraction values for our voice agent right here, which is pretty cool. And this is once again something that is fully automated, fully created itself based on what it thought we could need. I didn't tell it to create so many of them. I honestly just told it to create one for the law type right here. So I click into this. Yep, that's perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for, the types of laws to determine which one they were inquiring about. But it looks like they've also added in just a bunch of other values as well. Legal matter description, the urgency, immediate, soon, not urgent, preferred contact method, qualification score as well. So pretty cool. This is something that you can just use or not use. It doesn't really matter if you have this and you don't use it at all. These are just values that you're going to be able to use in some sort of a post-call automation or function calls to use this data however you prefer. So pretty cool that it just is able to do that automatically. This is something that you can't just generate on Retell automatically. So Claude Code has taken the initiative to do that for us, which is pretty cool and just can help out and just speeding up that development workflow. Next up, in building out a voice agent, you usually need some kind of automation tool that you're going to be able to send data from your voice agent to be able to send it off to external applications. So if you wanted to store some call logs, typically you might do that through Airtable or Google Sheets. And so that's pretty much what I got Claude Code previously to build out right here, which is essentially a webhook that would send all of the call data into Google Sheets to just store and track everything. Now, as a quick note, you can actually just ask Claude Code to directly send the information to Google Sheets, for example, and then directly sends that into Google Sheets through our Google API keys. This can be good if you want to locally host all of those scripts and whatnot on your computer so it's not put on any external platforms like n8n. And if you want to save on the costs of having to obviously pay for n8n as well. But overall, my recommendation is to use a tool like n8n to host our workflow automations on. I can come in and actually have a look at what the workflow is doing exactly, and if anything needs to be slightly changed or modified or updated, I have a pretty clear look as to how it's working. So if you are somebody that is not technical at all, you don't really know how to code and you don't want to have to touch code, this is going to be the method to take. What I'm going to tell Claude Code is that I want a post-call automation. So it's going to have to use the webhook settings right here, the agent level webhook URL. It's going to have to populate this field with the n8n webhook. And I'm going to tell it that I would like to essentially have a look at one of these post-call data values. Maybe I'll tell it to look at the law type, and I'll say, if an inquiry comes through, which is relevant to the family law type, I want you to send a very specific Slack notification off to a particular team member. But if it's estate planning or business law, I want you to send it off in some kind of an email. And so this is an automation I'm just going to tell Claude Code to build, and it's going to go ahead and just build that automation for us. Not only is it going to build it, it's going to build it that's relevant to what we have right here. It's going to understand what a agent level webhook URL or the response looks like coming from Retell and build that automation around that. So I've said, please create a post call automation that sends the call data into an NNN workflow that will look at the law type. If it is a family law inquiry, it needs to send a notification via Slack to a team member, and the other law types need to get sent via Gmail. And just to make it super clear, I've said, please ensure you add the agent level webhook for Retell from the NNN trigger webhook. So just give it some clear instructions there. Probably don't even need to have to do that. It's probably going to figure everything out that it needs to, but I'm going to literally send this off and we'll see if it's able to create it for us. Obviously, we are still going to have to give it our API key for NNN, which it should obviously ask us for that, and it's going to do it all for us. Just quickly, I've said, please use the NNN API to add it to my account. I just saw in its process right here that it was looking to create an NNN workflow JSON template that we'd have to manually upload into our NNN. Just to help automate the entire process here, if I actually just tell it to use the API documentation for NNN to add it into our account, we can just get it to do it for us. So pretty helpful when it comes to just automating the entire process here. And now you can see that it's updated to creating the script to upload workflow to NNN via API. If we've got the capability to do it via API, we might as well use it. All right, so it is now finished. I did have to go ahead and give it my API key as well as the NNN workspace that I have right here. Just have to give it the domain for your NNN workspace, and it's going to be able to figure out everything that it needs to in order to build out the NNN workflow. And if I jump into NNN and click right here, you're going to see that this is the workflow that it just built for us. All itself, Claude Code did everything here. And now if we jump into Retell, potentially, I haven't checked this. If I refresh, it should have potentially also added in the agent level webhook. And there we go. That's added in as well. If I have a look at this, Retell webhook added right here. If I just jump into this, we can see that that is exactly what it's added here as well. So perfect. It is connected now. So once a call is completed here on Retell, that data is now going to get sent into this workflow. I have a look at the filter right here, filter call analyzed events only. I can click into this and you can see that it is going to be looking at the event that's coming from Retell, and it's only going to be filtering through the call analyzed ones. This is a small detail, but if you're somebody that has built these post-call automations before, you'll know that this is absolutely necessary when it comes to building out one of these post-call systems. And the fact that Claude Code already knew to do this is pretty epic. Then we've got right here some code for extracting the lead data. If I jump into this, you can see that it has written some stuff. It has written itself some JavaScript code right here to look through and process the data to get back the law type that was selected and all of those values coming from the webhook. And then it's just checking the law type. So you can see right here, the law type is being pulled directly from the JSON response. If it equals family law, it's going to go down true, or it's going to send off that Slack message. Otherwise, if it's false, it's going to send off a Gmail and then do a webhook response as well. And if I go back all the way to the start here on our trigger step, you'll see that it's using the respond to webhook node. So that's even been updated as well so that this will work. So that's pretty epic. That's almost obviously completed. There are stuff that we have to do in terms of connecting our Slack account, connecting our Gmail account. Super easy to do. You just log into your account. It's not very complicated. We would obviously need to test this, and this is a topic that I'm now going to dive into a little bit about. When it comes to building out AI voice agents or these NNN automations with Claude Code or any other AI tools, you want to be very careful as to how reliable this actually is. So please ensure that you do properly test this system. You would definitely need to run this a fair few times to make sure that it does exactly what you're expecting it to do. And you're going to have to make sure that it's doing it the best way possible. And so this is by no means a complete replacement of a developer. You are still going to have to make sure that this is doing what it needs to. But this is obviously a great tool to just get started, to remove that sort of prompt block or writer's block, as I like to call it, to get something on the page to start to work with. And then you can obviously start to optimize and refine everything to make it production ready. And the only way to get production ready is by testing in the real world and getting some solid feedback to update and change everything so it can handle the stress of the real world. So hopefully that's clear. I wanted to get that out there when it comes to building out these systems using AI, of course. But no doubt about it, Claude Code does an incredible job at communicating between different apps so we can build our voice agents on Retell, connect it into NNN to build out a workflow that is also contextually relevant with everything that's going on Retell at the exact same time. If you want to dive deeper into AI voice agent development or NNN automation development, you can check out my AI Launchpad, where we've actually got 2 multi-hour complete courses, A to Z courses on NNN automations, as well as voice AI. So this is going to tell you everything you need to know. I'll have a quick showcase of this. You can see we've got a lot of modules when it comes to exactly how to set these systems up from scratch. Obviously, we can use Claude Code nowadays, but it is absolutely necessary to still have the foundational understanding as to everything that's going on so you can be the best developer possible. And this is also not just about development, but also monetizing these solutions as well through our Idea to Income course, which is going to tell you all about building and scaling an AI agency. And of course, you're going to be able to network and connect with all of the other members that we have here. And you can even see a win from a community member right here where they were able to sell a voice AI system. If you do want to become a master developer and start to actually sell these systems like our other members, I'll have our AI Launchpad community linked in the description.